Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. It's a little bit cold and damp, but I've come out to the garage today because I'm fed up of having this engine sitting around in bits. I'm not 100% happy with all the parts, but I don't have any other parts, so I'm going to go with what I've got. I don't expect the engine to do 100,000 miles, I just want to hear it run. Here are all the pistons and rods, and they've all been assembled up, and I've put new little end bushes in, and they've all been reamed and all been fitted. I'm not very happy about some of these nuts because, for instance, you can see this one is a long way further down than the thing. That's because the conrod has been resized, so I imagine the balance on these is way out. But that's how they ran in the last time the engine was together. What I might do is actually use nylock nuts instead of these nuts, because, for instance, you can't put a split pin in there, can you, and get it to lock down into here. I could use some washers under it, possibly, but I just don't know, to be honest. But in the absence of any other parts, these are what are going to go in. Not the best way to build an engine, but it is what it is. Sorry for this very scruffy jacket, but it is cold today, and what happens is I start feeling cold in my back, so I'll put this old coat over the top of my overalls. I've numbered the cylinders underneath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've numbered them on the top, and I'm going to do it with the engine up on end. I will start with number 1. Number 1, I think it's of great help to have it numbered at both ends like that. So I will turn the crank so it's like that, furthest down, away, and I'm going to wipe it clean with a clean cloth. Yeah, I'll do number 1 because that one will actually be below number 5, so I'll do the one that's on the bottom first. Okay, so here's number 1. Quick visual inspection. There isn't a front and a back, and I'm not going to worry about the conrods either, front and back. Where there is a factory marking, I'll put it to the outside. They're not a matched set of rods. I'm not very happy about this. There's a little bit of a burr there, so I'm just going to file it a bit. I've just checked, and because there's a slight relief on the bores, some more than others, I've put all the gaps in the rings away from the relief. One's at the top, well, the one's at the front, one's at the back, and one's on this side, on the outside. I haven't put the bearing on yet, but I can get the piston in before I have to put the bearing on. I think I'm indulging in an exercise of just how badly can you build a flathead and it still run. I'm going to treat these nuts as temporary because I'm not happy about quite a lot of them, to be honest. My friend gave me some more nuts, so I've got some to pick and choose from, but I think I'm actually going to go with some nylock nuts. Not traditional, or probably even not recommended, but I think it's what I'm going to use. Check for movement. Okay, good. Right, number 5 then. That's got some sort of a marking on that side there, so I'll do exactly the same on this one. I'll wipe the cylinder, oil the cylinder, oil the piston. I'll check the alignment of the things. So there's the factory mark, so that's the outside. So there's the gap there, there's the gap there, there's the gap there, that's okay. So oil the cylinder then. Don't like the sound of that. Hasn't even started. Okay. If in doubt, always have a look. It might be that it's dog-ended down there on the crank. I hope that's alright. Put some oil on the rod. Factory mark to the outside there. Oil on the thing. These glasses are good for close up, but not good for distance. They're stronger than my normal glasses. Nip it up. I think these pistons are going to be a bit tight in the bores because there's a lot of tension on the rings. So let me just think about what's the best way of turning it. I've got 2 engine mount bolts in there, so I can put this in like that. Oh, that goes around okay actually. Okay, so let's put that one at the bottom. And it's just a case of rinse and repeat. There we are. So what I'll do now, I'll flip it over and I'll do the others. And I'll leave the camera on and you can see me working from the top because the top will come to this side. Right, check. There's some markings there, so that's going to be the outside. So this is the inside. So those rings are not like I want. So that one wants to go there. That one wants to go there where it is. No, that's okay. Yeah, that's alright. That one's on the top, that one's on the bottom, and that one's on the outside. Oh, put the piston ring compressor on, Mart, come on. This one actually hasn't got any relief. You can kind of push them in. You know, which might be a better way. Right, factory number to the outside. Right then, number 8. Yeah. Right. I've actually ordered some washers. What I might do, instead of using the nylon nuts, is use washers to bring the nuts up to the right height for the split pin to go in. I might do that, and that'll compensate slightly for the metal that's been taken off the rod caps. Okay, I need to bring the other throw around, but I'll give it a bit of a turn. Just make sure everything's still rotating okay. Okay, there's the other throw coming round there. Cool, man. But I'm going to do it slightly different this time. I'm going to do number 7 first, because I think it's easier to do the bottom one and then the top one. See what I mean? You know, due to the offsets in the bores. Now this one's got quite a grind on the thing there, so that's why you have to watch for the rings popping into there. That's why you don't have the gap on the ring on that side. Oh bollocks, took it off too soon. The oil ring is still below the surface. not happy about that one. It's not trying to pop out. This lever's got like a plastic end on it, so I'm just going to use that to push on the ring there. There we go. There we go. Disaster averted. I didn't want to use something sharp, you know. Okay, good. I'm not talking these because I intend to either use these nuts with washers, but I only ordered them last night, so they'll take a while to arrive, or some nylox. I think I'll probably go with these nuts with washers. Here's the bottom end. What I realised, I took a great deal of trouble putting split pins in there, and then I only thought about it when I came out today, that they're supposed to be locking wire, aren't they? I took this cap off for another reason, and I've put it back on with locking wire. I might change these, I don't know yet. You can see what I'm talking about with the, you know, if I put a split pin in there, it's not going to be on the nut, is it? So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to put washers underneath the nuts to bring the nuts back up to the correct position. Because some need more than others. Like that one there is particularly bad, see? What I'm going to do is I'll put more oil on everything and just kind of leave it, you know, wait until I can continue. But I wanted to get everything in, so all the bearing surfaces are covered up now rather than exposed. Okay, I'll give you a couple of you know, little takeaway things from this. One is, this is a really good idea to just number the cylinders at the bottom and at the top, because once you get it on this stand and you start flipping it over and flipping it over and flipping it over, you can get really mixed up. And when I put the crusty flatty together, I put all the pistons on wrong. They did need to have the front on the pistons, and you know, and that it had a complete matching set of rods, so the rods were specific, so the front and the side of the rod for each one had to be specific, and I started assembling them up wrong, so I got all the pistons on wrong, and I had to change I think 5 of the pistons. So that's one good takeaway there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's, you know, takes seconds and it's really simple. The other good thing that I can give you to take away is this modification that I did to the stand by drilling this second hole to enable it to stand upright. I drilled this second hole here. There's a normal hole. This is a second one that I drilled, and you can see that I just used that, so you can push it in here and be guiding it here. It's easier than working up the other way. And there we go, there's all the pistons, rods in place. Not finished, but that's it for now. What I might do, actually, I might just pull them split pins out and put some safety wire in. I won't bother filming that. And I've been quite nice and warm with this heavy coat on, but it's not very good for You know, it's really had it. But I don't have a coat that I'm willing to get dirty. Okay. Okay, I've revisited the main nuts and put a bit of safety wire on them instead of the split pins, so that's done correctly. Because I suppose if you put a split pin in, the stud could still come undone, couldn't it? I don't imagine the stud ever would want to come out, but it is possible. So there we are, another little job ticked off the list. It took me a long time to do the little end bushes in the rods. A couple of them turned, and I had to change the method that I was using to get them to size. It says requires light reaming. It was a much heavier reaming job than I think they intended. You can tell it's cold, you can see my breath. Okay, that's looking good anyway. I can start to clean all the oil pan up, the sump pan, even though I can't fit it, but I can clean it up and I can kind of put it in place with a couple of bolts to kind of seal it all up, and then I'll readdress the big end nuts, the rod nuts, when those washers come in. I think that's how I'm going to do it. My friend gave me some more of these castellated nuts, so I've got like quite a few to choose from, and I'll choose the 16 best ones that I've got, and then start cleaning up more parts and start putting those on. Okay, thanks very much for joining me in the garage then. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. It's a little bit cold here today, but I've come out to do a little bit because I've got some parts that have just arrived that will enable me to continue with the job on the old 59 Flatty. So I'll show you what came. This bag of washers, because my intention is to use the washers to space the nuts up a little bit. Use a number of washers. Now these are aircraft washers. They're thin and flat and good quality metal. I came out yesterday and I just kind of dummied it up on this one here, and I think that is okay. There's actually 4 washers there and 4 on that one as well, but it brings the nut up to the right position to get the split pin in. So what I'm going to do is go to each rod, look to see how many washers it looks like it's going to need, and then torque the nuts and then see if I can get the holes to align, and maybe adjust it either with a washer or try a different nut to get them just right. Then once that's done, I can start buttoning up the bottom end. What happened the other day is that I cleaned this oil pump up and I found those holes in it, so that's scrap. I was able to find 2 more oil pumps. This one is exactly the same as that one that I just showed you, and this one will clean up, and this one here appears to be a higher volume pump with like an adapter there that adapts it to this type of pickup, and this one just needs a bolt in there. There's a bolt missing. So luckily I've got 2 pumps I can go with. I'll probably go with this one because it appears to be the closest to it, and I might save this one for another build. So I've got some parts to continue with. Despite all this very heavy corrosion on there, this is the oil pan. I know it looks disgusting, but I have had a good scrape around and it doesn't appear to be rusted out, so that's good. So once I've cleaned, so once I've got that ready, I can clean this, get it all cleaned up, and put the oil pump on, put this on, and put the, get the bottom end all tidied up. Okay, let's get cracking then. I've put this Ice Cafe hoodie on because I looked at the images of me with my old cold testing coat on and it looked so disgusting. I thought, I can't wear that again. I don't know if 4 is too many, but I put 4 on the first one. These washers are only very thin, but I've put 4 on the first one, so I'll go with 4 on these as well. See how they look. They might want 3. And you're probably saying to yourself, yeah, but Mark, what about the balance? I'm just going to go and clean these nuts. I'm just going to put the nut down a tap to make sure the threads are nice and fresh. This brake adjuster wrench makes a good improvised tap wrench. I think this one would be better with 3 washers. I'm guessing that these rods aren't balanced anyway, so I'm not going to upset the balance by putting washers on them. So I suppose the best thing to do is to torque them and put the split pins in, and then if it don't kind of come right, use a different nut and then work your way along, but make sure every one is done. So the first thing I need to do is go and check the torque figure, and I'll start torquing them up. There's 35, and on this one you press this in and it pops out when you reach the torque. Can you see that that has been turned down there? That's important with these. Well, that's good because that's just on the castellation. Now that one arguably has just gone past. That one also has just gone past. These were already at torque, so I'll loosen these. Yeah, that's just gone slightly past. Oh, that one's not quite there, so that one can go slightly tighter. So this one can go slightly tighter and still be less than 40. I'm going to wing it. So that one's okay. This one can go slightly tighter. That's okay, I think. And I'll try swapping these two. click. Oh, that's alright, that's not quite to the thing, so let's just go a tiny bit more. Tiny bit more. And this one. That's sort of, well, what this says is to 40, so let's try 40. Let's see if it comes around at before it gets to 40. Or at no, that's at 40. Okay, that's at 40 and it hasn't gone, so I'll try a different nut on that one. Okay, let's put this back down to 35. Ish. Was this the one? Okay, that's better. That's almost there. So we'll just give it a tiny bit more. There. Okay, that'll do. I'll show you it a little bit more close up. So these are now nicely aligned, because I know, you know on these that the split pins go that way. So these are now nicely aligned. Okay, so there's the first 4 nuts on the first 2 rods on the first throw. I think in the interest of keeping the video lengths down to a reasonable length, I've showed you exactly what I did there. First of all, I decided to try and use some nuts that were a bit less nudged up than these two, and then I swapped them around and selected another one to try, and these 4 are now okay. Pleased with these washers, they're good. They're I bought them from a place that deals in surplus aircraft parts. That's there, but I think it will take a tiny little squeak like that. That's it, great. Okay, so there are the last 4 there. That one, that one, that one, and that one was a little. Didn't like that. So I'm going to put the split pins in then, and the bottom end's buttoned up. That's all 8 done. And there are all my. These 2 are nuts that I dismissed because they were a bit too gnarled up. And these are others that have been, you know, tried on different rods and not lined up. That's why you always need a few extra. Okay, let's have a go at the split pins then. I don't think you need to see the split pins, do you? So I'll do the split pins off camera. Managed to find 16 of these. These are good, these are, because when you knock them in, they splay apart. And also, there'll be a tight fit in the hole. So I'm going to use these. They possibly could do with being a tiny bit tighter. What you don't want is them rattling about. So that's in quite securely now. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera off because the battery's flat. I'll bring you back in a sec when there's more to show. Okay, a full complement of split pins or cutter pins if you prefer, all done. So what I was just thinking I would do is I'll probably leave it now because it is very cold in here today. So I've had a good little session there, some nice quiet work. I'm happy with all that. So I'm just going to get my trusty scraper and get rid of these. Get rid of these numbers. Didn't really want all them flaking in there, but hey. So I'll do those carefully so that the bits don't go in the engine, and I'll probably call it good at that then. The others didn't flake up like the first one because they were a lot thinner. Okay, that's good now. Flywheel, clutch, oil pump, gaskets, front cover, front pulley, oil pan. Not necessarily in that order, because I'm going to make a gasket to fit the front cover on the old flathead. So there's the casting there's the block. Here is my last piece of gasket paper. And what I've done the old lay it in place and rub my fingers over it to make an imprint. So I've got the rough shape there. So I'm going to trim that with a pair of scissors, and then I will trim it better to shape. So there's my rough shape. I'll get some scissors and cut it out. I have got some really good scissors somewhere. Unfortunately, these are not them. I've ordered some more gasket paper because it's pretty useful to be able to make your own gaskets. I've got a few flathead gasket sets, but I've kind of been rifling through them for so long now that some of these key ones, there's none left. Quite cold here today, so I've got like double layers on of everything. I'll leave it a bit oversized so it can be trimmed off afterwards. So what I'm just wondering is whether to use this to get the accurate shape, which might be a better way to do it. But what I think I'll do, I think I'll put these two holes in first to start it off. Here's an old hammer, ball peen hammer. There's the start, and there's a hole. So I'll put something in there now to just get it positioned there. If you're gentle enough, you won't damage the threads. Nice, easy, gentle work. What I'm looking for is make sure that I don't sort of end up short on that end there. Just digging the piece out. It's quite cold in the garage, so I've got my hood up, so I don't normally like filming with my hood up because it looks a bit thuggish, but that's the way it is today, I'm afraid. Okay. So I should be able to just work my way around this now, nice and easy. I mean, you could come in here with a razor blade, I suppose, and just cut it. I might use a razor actually. I might use a razor because you can't really hit with the hammer where the bolt is, so it's another way of doing it, isn't it? Let's just try it with a razor. That can't be right, surely. Gone a bit off there, so yeah, maybe using the razor isn't such a great... Yeah, it's possible to go off a bit with the razor. So obviously, as with everything, you have to exercise caution. That's part of it anyway. Now I can't go beyond there with a razor. So my idea was to kind of do what I can and then do the rest of it on the cover. Having said that, what I might be able to do is put the cover in place and then go around the cover with the razor. So I've showed you two methods there, haven't I, with the actually I think it is better to have it on here, because you've got that edge there, you see. I have actually flipped this side to side without meaning to. So what I can do now is use the cover. I might use the hammer actually. Can you see that it's cutting it? I think you're less likely to stray off using the hammer. You can't see what I'm doing, can you? I just did this bit here. If it's a straight bit or a curve that way, you can use the flat part of the hammer. There we go. Okay, that'll do. So that can be fitted now. Now, my sole object is to just try and get this engine running. I'm going to use the existing seal in there, the existing rope seal. It doesn't look great. Well, it looks fine actually, it looks fine. So I'm going to reuse that. If this engine ever, you know, goes on to do better and better things, it can have a proper rebuild, you know, with a crank grind and new bearings and stuff, but just for this exercise. Right, the pulley is a little bit damaged, but I want to just use it as a bit of an alignment fixture. Actually, I might go and clean the pulley a little bit so it's nice and shiny. I have put it on there and took it off again, and it does go on and off, so I'm just going to go and clean that little bit there so it goes on and off easier. I've just cleaned up the thing. If I use this pulley, it will need to be modified. I can see this has been gas welded around here. I just don't know if that's factory or not. I suspect not, because that looks like it's all been brazed there. I think that bit might be factory. I think somebody's made a double sheave pulley here from a single sheave, if that's the right word. Okay, I don't know where you can see. Let's put this a bit further over. I'm going to put this down here, and there you have to go. This will be coming off again, so I'm not fitting it for all time. I think the best way to do this is actually to get it onto here. And I think I'm just going to use some grease to hold it on. See, by having it on here, it's up against that shoulder. Slightly out on that one there. Oh, I think it's alright. Should be alright. Okay. Put some grease on this side as well. Why not? I'll put a bit of oil. I've wiped the grease off my fingers onto there, but I'll put a bit of oil on it. This is just to align it. This is a soft-faced mallet. That's down. Okay. Right in. Okay. Are these the correct bolts? I think they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's only 5. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 5. What you don't want, I was going to say what you don't want is a long bolt, but no, that's not the case. You don't want long bolts in there. So 3 of these could go in there, couldn't they? And there's 5 and there's a couple of spares there. Got new washers, look. I've just kind of had a thought there to make a pointer for the timing, so that'll be a job. I will do that job and I'll show how to do that nice and easy. Right, let's just put these on then. Camera's red, but I think there'll be enough to just finish this. Just put these on. You don't need to go mad on things like this. Okay, I'll bring it back when there's a little bit more to show. So on this little bit I've showed you how to make a gasket. Quite easy, not difficult, and gasket paper is quite, freely available anywhere in the world, so the fact that you've got something that might be unusual doesn't mean you can't put it together. And I can wipe that grease off now. So there we are, neat little job using a hammer. Ball peen hammer is the best. Okay, I'll bring you back when there's more to show. It's after the event, but I just thought I'll show you a little thing, like a bit of a sanity check. There's one of the bolts, and I've put it in. Here's one of the bolts, and I want to check that it will tighten up okay without bottoming in the hole. So I'm tightening it up, and that's just stopped now. So what I'm looking, is it snug down? Yes, it is. So that means that when I do it up with the washer on, oops, it can't be bottomed in the end of the thread, and that's something you must always check. When you're putting something together, check that the bolts are actually pulling the thing down that you want to pull down, and not bottomed out in the end of the thread. So there we are. There we go. Okay, thank you very much for joining me in the garage for this little session on a cold day in January. I'll wish you all the best then, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.